Hi, everyone.
All right, so hello, everybody. Thanks for coming to today's meeting. I suppose we can go around and do introductions real quick to start off. I can start. So I'm Jay Pandy, president of Duke Disability Alliance. And let's see, my favorite class this semester so far has probably been ComSci 270, Intro to AI, because that's a topic that really interests me. So I'm really excited to continue with that. All right, and next, let's see, let me turn my camera back around. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Yeah. All right, yeah, Ivan, do you want to go next? Or?
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Ivan Robles. I'm in Duke Student Government Economics Committee. I'm a sophomore, and favorite course is likely my Immigrants in Exile course I'm doing this semester. I'm visiting professor. It's very fascinating and also very emotional and heart-wrenching, which is a lot for a 10 a.m. class. But, you know, important stuff.
Okay.
I'm Marian Karichi. I'm the faculty advisor of DDA. It's not really fair for me to pick a favorite class, and I'm teaching one this semester. It's called Neurodiversity Narrative Activism. Be helping us out with disability practice.
Okay. I am Ashley Elrod. I'm an instructor in the history department, and I teach on European history and disability history. And it does seem unfair for me to pick a class because it's great self-promoting. My favorite class right now is the new class I'm offering on disability history, History 390. I'm gonna glare at Maddie while she answers that question. It's not fair.
I'm Maddie Feller. I'm an advocacy co-chair at DDA, and my favorite class is history.
Well done.
Yay.
And Deepthi, do you want to go as well?
Oh, okay, sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm not there in person, but I'm Deepthi. I'm a sophomore. And
hold on. 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. Oh, God, how do you do this? Sorry, technical difficulties. Could you just say that again? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm not there in person. I'm not gonna lie, I literally woke up 5 minutes ago. But my name is Deepthi. I'm a sophomore, and my favorite class this semester is Global Health Ethics. We're talking a lot. I'm reading this really good book by Jonathan Haidt about like morality and how it like what is right, what is wrong, and we're contextualizing that in terms of like health and stuff, and it's really really interesting to me.
Great. All right. All right, so let's get started. So I have the agenda in the agenda document. Would anyone be able to take notes? Okay, great. Let me pull that up as well. So I think the first thing I wanted to start with is, Ivan, I know you've been working on a lot of great initiatives. So if you could just kind of update us on those.
So sort of taking a lot of the things that we spoke about last time I was here, and we met last semester, a very sort of expansive conversation about many things. And the sort of the central aspect of it was departmental training and what that would look like, and logistically how that could even be fathomed in terms of implementation. And specifically speaking about improving accessibility and knowledge of accessibility on campus among faculty. And it was, the more we spoke about it, the more layers of it that were sort of peeled back, especially if we're talking about differences in tenure and differences in between departments, and there's different sort of avenues that must be sort of pursued depending on what you're trying to do. So to get more of an admin perspective, I met with Dean Petters, and it was assuring that a lot of the things that I went in there to tell him, he should have beaten to the punch and was telling me that admin was aware of these things, and they had just actually very quite recently started working towards implementing departmental trainings. And one of the focuses that he wanted, that I sort of expressed to him and that he agreed, was more of an inclusivity type dynamic to this whole process. So what he told me is that they're doing it, and this is very typical of admin of having a very strict plan, very focused plan of what they want to do. So they're focusing on the large departments being math, econ, bio, chem, and comp sci. And those are the departments that they're focusing on in terms of implementing this training that they have an idea for. And they hope to have a plan for math and comp sci by the end of the spring. And as when I met with him, he did not have any sort of specifics that he could give me in terms of what that plan would look like and what the process of that would be, because they very much were in the initial parts of it. I'm assuming that they still are. I don't know how much progress has been made since I met with him last semester. But is sort of for DDA and DSG to approach an admin again. It can be Dean Petters or the directors of undergraduate study that he recommended, and sort of get a sense of where they are and sort of express that we have an active interest in this project of training, and also sort of being like physically present, both virtually and in meetings, to sort of say, hey, make sure that accessibility and inclusivity is at the forefront of this as you're moving forward. Sort of generally what he was telling me was that we have to sort of be patient. But he also sort of was very focused on, and I don't know if y'all are already informed about this. He told me that SCAO would know some things. I wasn't sure if PDA did, but it was a specific room within academic advising for the proctoring of exams for students with disabilities. And the way he sort of framed it to me was that the room would be specifically constructed with accessibility in mind and would have different sorts of services and resources that were very particular to that room. And that was a very important project that admin has already made a lot of progress on from what he was telling me. And he told me that Dino Wiki would know more. I sent an email to Dino Wiki and I haven't heard anything. That was last semester. So I will reach out again so we get an idea of where they are with that. And I'm not sure if that's new information to any of you. And he made it sound like this was sort of something that was in the works and he was super excited about.
So I don't think any of us knew about it, but I think it is something a lot of colleges have testing centers. So I think this is probably a start towards that, which is great. I personally think it'd be cool if we could like get a tour and kind of publicize it. Okay. If like that's something that admin would be
part of the
cool
process.
With.
I mean, one of our concerns in the past has been whether or not our steps towards accessibility on campus are including the perspectives of people with disabilities and students with disabilities. I think it should just be non-disabled administrators designing the space and like doing the work, but like including perspectives of the students that will be using the space, just so that it's representative and so they can be part of the project.
Yeah, and so we can see it and give input on it. I think that would make it better.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, because I think more people would want to use that center if they had a voice in making it.
Right. That's really good.
Yeah.
And publicity is also helpful because one concern with accessibility is when people don't know what resources are there for the asking in the first place. And so I think the more people know about options, that may also help smooth pathways for students who are not in SAO's system, who have not gone through the process of medical examinations and acquiring documentation that legitimizes whatever disability they may have. And so sometimes just knowing what resources exist so that you can start to visualize how that could even impact you, that could maybe, because I think it's a lot to put yourself through the process of getting into SDAO if you're not even sure what the payoff will be for your own situation. Not a critique of SDAO, but just simply the paperwork and the process of going to doctors and it's taxing. So I think there's a lot of potential advantages to your suggestion.
Right. Yeah.
So I will reach out to Dean Wilkie again, and I'll particularly pursue this in a way that we want to play an active role in sort of seeing how this is actually the progress has been made thus far. Because again, he made it sound like this was going, they were running with this. So maybe a lot of progress has been made. Also, it'd be very helpful to see what has been done and what role we can play moving forward.
So the Academic Advising Center is on East, right?
Yeah.
Which building is it in?
It's in,
The Women's Center, the same building as the Women's Center?
yeah, it's attached to the Women's Center itself.
Okay, I've never been there. But
Yeah, that one, but that area.
the accessibility over there isn't that great from what I remember. So I'd be interested to see like exactly what that's gonna look like then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And one quick, so it's probably more diplomatic way to express these concerns about representation in the process of decision making. The historical slogan that you see on a lot of sandwich boards, protest signs is nothing about us without us.
Yeah.
A bit more like a demand than a request. So, but a helpful reminder.
And so the last update I have is about the indoor maps, looking at accessibility, more in terms of visual mapping, and something that we spoke about was getting indoor maps of particularly non-residential buildings and sort of highlighting routes that students can take once they were within the building. So I've been talking to Joe Gonzalez, I've been in a couple of meetings, and he told me essentially that there exist maps for the residential buildings that are publicly available on the Duke site. However, for non-residential buildings, he was not sure. He said he did not think those were available and that he's never seen them, any sort of mapping like that.
Yeah.
So, and he is in charge of housing and residence life, so I assume that he should, of all people, would know. But he did tell me that he would reach out to facilities and see if they had any sort of resource. I haven't heard from him, but I sent a follow-up email. And I also see him always running around in person. So when the next time I see him, I'll go inside and I'll say, like that.
And so as far as getting to the residential maps, do you know how to do that?
Yeah, so I sent a link, I attached a hyperlink in the email.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, sorry.
On the basic floor maps.
There we go.
Down into the quads. And I don't know if these maps are necessarily comprehensive enough. I think it's definitely, they're definitely useful.
So let me pull up like let me see if I can find Kilgo real quick and just show everybody. Oh, see, part of the problem is you have to log in with your NetID, which is, I think, like, the only issue is, like, if you're a visitor coming to campus, like, if you're visiting someone in the dorm, you still want to be able to have access to these kinds of maps. So, I mean, I don't know if something can be worked out where you don't have to have a NetID to.
Right.
One thing, it doesn't look like the file is good enough to have the labels be legible. We can do that.
Which map are you looking at?
Yeah, let me just screen share this real quick. Ooh, yeah, that's small, very small. Wow. All right.
If you zoom in, is the quality of it?
Yeah. Let me just screen share this so that other people can see it, and then there we go. Okay, share.
Oh wow.
Yep. So that is.
So when we make the case for the need for this kind of resource for non-residential buildings, we can just kind of talk about the advantage of being able to share them with visiting lecturers or people who are coming for a conference, like buildings that are used for academic purposes. So Ashley and I, when we're running our faculty working group, the Disability and Access Initiative, we always try to provide as many accessibility resources as possible to people who are coming to that. And we can't give maps of the buildings, so that means a lot of extra work for us in terms of like, we have to go signpost the building before the meeting starts, which takes like half an hour.
Right.
It's just so that people can find a room, you know. I think that it's really hard sometimes in a lot of the Duke buildings, especially the older buildings, to find a room, you know.
Right.
And to also know like where the elevator is for if you need, you know, more accessible entry.
That's actually wonderful.
So it's not just student dorms that need to be accessible as well, because like guests to the campus aren't usually going to dorms, they're usually going to those other buildings. So it's not even necessarily just about disability, this is for anyone who would find
And
it.
just pragmatically, I think they almost would be required to have some sort of building plan. And it may be a sort of situation where two buildings are very old, so maybe in terms of records, it's complicated.
I'm sure they exist, I'm just not sure if they're public.
Right.
I mean, I think if they're able to do something this good for Kilgo, then they should be able to do it for pretty much every building, because Kilgo is pretty old.
I agree.
I think they have to have this kind of thing for like fire safety purposes anyway, like evacuation routes and stuff for employees, so they must exist, like they're just not publicly available online. I mean, I don't know what quality they are, where they are.
Exactly.
Right.
And head of housing maybe thinking of.
Okay.
There is an
Right.
emergency rescue area right outside my room in Few, and it has like the little wheelchair symbol on it. It's kind of like this alcove with a window on it where it's like you have standing room and stuff. I don't really know what purpose it's meant to serve, but
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, that's just something that when I first time I saw that, it was very interesting because I've never seen it in any other place before, and I can only imagine that like the new dorms like Trinity or the Hollows will have it as, or next year Crowell will have it as well, because Few was renovated in 2009.
Right. Yeah, so I think what that is that is an area of rescue assistance. So that is if you're in a situation where like there's a fire and you can't leave the building, those are areas where you're supposed to be able to stay until someone can come rescue you. Yeah, I don't really know how those work, thankfully. I've never had to use one, but they are there to be helpful in those kinds of situations.
I should note that earlier when I said I didn't think the quality was very good, it's just because I hadn't downloaded the file. So
well, because
the thumbnail. Anyway. But it's quite clear.
Yeah.
Download it.
Yeah, and it seems like it'll work with screen readers as well because the text is highlightable and everything. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. Yeah, so that is great. So yeah, let us know what you hear back from Dean Gonzalez. Yeah, thanks for these updates. I think it's we certainly, if we were doing this on our own, I don't think we'd have been able to get as far. So we really appreciate that you've been doing all this.
I just wanted to say also for all the work that you're doing around physical accessibility, I have activism projects happening in my class where they're going to be participating in Disability Pride Week like last year. Most of them are going to be focusing on mental health stuff, but a number of them are going to be making videos about Duke and students in an Arts of the Moving Image course to actually make them nice videos to make them like really cool. And one of my students wants to focus on accessibility, like physical accessibility on campus. And can I put her in touch with you and the other students that are working at it? Maybe they'll interview you and talk about the work that you guys are doing, the problems that exist, and just probably show. She probably wants to do like, you know, one of those kind of side-by-side videos where you see the accessible route versus the route that everybody else takes.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. So just to kind of call attention to it. Yeah, so I'll put her in touch with you and is it Lucas? Who's the other person who's working on?
Luke Farrell is he's the head of SOFC, so he is trying to mandate that.
Oh, he's just
people
trying to
have
do it
for events that people have guidelines in place. So we've been in touch with him.
And then there was someone else who was working on door openers, and which is Jaja. Okay, so I'll put her in touch with the three of them. So
and Christina Smith is working on banning people from holding events in the languages building. So,
I was curious about that actually. I'm looking at a map now to see whether it's the same building where I had a bad experience as a graduate student. It's hard to tell.
You say Christina Smith, is that with a K or a CH?
K, yes.
Could you recap that a little bit? The languages building, it's the one that does not have an elevator.
Yeah, it is notorious for being inaccessible. So yeah, as far as I know, there's the only way to get up the floors is stairs. So
I have vivid memories of doing that when I had a really bad experience in that building. I had no idea how to advocate for myself at the time. It was probably 2010, and I should have been able theoretically to have the class moved so that I didn't have to walk up 3 flights of stairs when I was at my absolute worst and needing help. But yeah, I'm very curious about that initiative just because it has left strong memories with me. But I basically went through a semester of not being in an SDAO to feel like that I was part of the system that could make requests for accommodations, and also just still being at the beginning and learning how to advocate for myself. And was felt too uncomfortable to request having the entire class moved up. So I'm really glad to hear that that students are working on this, because that was a hard time. The proposal went out to everybody, I think that went out in our email.
I remember the language building, and that was one of the criteria in Luke's accessibility form.
Yeah.
Right, that events not be held there.
Yeah.
Or boycott. What's Jaja's last name?
Shen.
S-H-E-N.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Actually, I think it's yeah, I think that the saddest part for me is when I hear stories about people who for whatever reason aren't able to have use of the resources that do exist on campus, however inadequate they may be at times. Yeah, it's those are always the hardest stories to hear, is people that aren't able to use the office. So I think that's one thing that I really want to keep doing advocacy for, is to get people to be more involved with the services that are on campus. So yeah, because SDAO will move classes. Like, they moved my French class this semester. So if you ask,